Okay, so are you ready to dive into some serious next level AI?
Always.
You know how like most AI can handle like quick questions, but then gets lost when you have a longer conversation?
Yeah.
What if I told you there's a system that can actually like watch a movie with you and understand the plot twists and answer your questions about
Great.
it?
Hours later, even.
Yeah, hours later.
It's really wild.
Yeah, and this is what this research paper that you sent me goes into.
What?
This system called Intern LM X Composer 2.5 OmniLive,
Catchy.
IXC 2.5 OL for short.
Much better. Yeah.
So much easier.
Way easier.
And it's honestly, it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I think what makes it so revolutionary is that it's designed to be more like a specialized generalist.
Okay.
Think of it like all the different parts of your brain working together.
So like one part for seeing and hearing and one part for thinking and one part for memory.
Yeah, exactly. And this paper breaks it down into three main modules.
Yeah.
The first one is the streaming perception module. So essentially the AI's eyes and ears.
Okay, so it's not just recording, it's actually understanding what it sees and hears.
That's right. So on the audio side, it can recognize different types of sounds like laughter or rain, in addition to understanding speech.
Wow.
And then on the visual side, it's not just seeing pixels, it's figuring out the meaning behind each frame.
Wow. So it's getting the whole experience, like the atmosphere of the scene.
Yeah, the emotions, even.
Wow.
Really interesting.
So that's just the first module.
And it's just the first one.
Yeah.
This is where things get really cool.
Okay.
The second module is the multimodal long memory module. And this is the key to the long-term understanding.
So I'm guessing this is how it remembers everything, but how can AI have a memory like ours?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So imagine you're summarizing each chapter of a book as you read it, focusing on like the key plot points and the characters.
Okay.
The AI does something really similar. It takes snapshots of the video and audio and compresses them into like a short-term memory.
Okay, so it's like creating mental notes of all the important stuff.
Right. And then it takes those notes and integrates them into a long-term memory.
Oh, wow.
This allows it to recall events from much earlier, just like we might remember something from the beginning of a movie, even hours later.
No, this is really making me rethink what AI is capable of.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the perception module, we've got the memory module. What about the third module, the reasoning module?
This is where it all comes together.
Okay.
This is where the AI does the thinking. So it takes all that information, what it's seeing, hearing, remembering, and then it uses a large language model to answer questions.
Okay.
But here's the really smart part. It can also distinguish between real questions and just background noise.
Oh, so it doesn't get distracted by every little sound.
Exactly. It focuses on what's important, just like we do when we're trying to follow like a complex conversation.
Wow, that's incredibly clever.
Yeah.
I'm already impressed, and we're just getting started here.
Right. And we haven't even talked about one of the coolest features, which is its ability to handle what are called implicit questions.
Okay.
These are questions that don't explicitly name an object, but they just kind of hint at it.
So, like, if I ask, like, what was the weather like earlier, after watching hours of footage, it can actually go back and figure that out from the visuals and audio. Exactly. It can piece together those clues and make connections, just like we might use our memory and our reasoning skills to answer a question that wasn't directly stated.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is.
But how do we know this actually works in practice? I mean, did they test this thing out?
Oh, yeah. They put it through its paces, for sure. They tested its audio understanding, its video understanding, its real-time interaction.
Wow.
And the results were pretty amazing.
So it wasn't just a theory, it actually performs well.
It exceeded expectations, even.
Wow.
For example, in tests of audio understanding, it was particularly good at recognizing speech in challenging environments, like a noisy meeting.
Oh, wow.
Imagine trying to transcribe a conversation in a crowded room.
Yeah, and this AI is doing it better than other systems.
That's super useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about video understanding? Can it really make sense of what's happening visually?
Yeah, so it actually achieves state-of-the-art accuracy on tasks like recognizing actions, understanding complex plots, answering questions about long videos.
So it can follow a movie or a TV show and actually understand what's going on?
The nuances of the story, the characters, the themes, you name it.
That's incredible.
And it's not just about understanding pre-recorded videos. They tested it on a benchmark specifically designed for streaming video understanding.
So it's built to handle the real-time flow of information.
It's for real-world applications.
Wow, this is truly revolutionary.
Yeah.
And to top it off, they've even provided the technical details of how the system works.
Yes, they outline the whole pipeline showing how each module works together in real time, including things like voice activity detection, memory snapshot mechanisms, and even text-to-speech conversion so it can respond audibly.
So it can actually talk back to you? This is seriously blowing my mind.
It's really interesting stuff.
I think we need to take a moment to digest all this, and then we'll come back and we'll delve deeper into how they trained this AI to be so smart and capable.
Sounds good. So welcome back.
We're back.
Before the break, we were marveling at the capabilities of IXE 2.5 OL. But I know you're curious about how they actually taught an AI to be so incredibly smart.
Right. It's one thing to describe what it can do, but how do you actually train a machine to understand and remember things like that?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So imagine you wanted to teach someone a new language. You wouldn't just start with like complex grammar rules.
Right.
You'd start with basic vocabulary, simple sentences, and gradually build up their understanding.
Yeah, like laying a foundation.
Exactly. So the researchers started by pre-training the AI with massive data sets covering a wide range of topics and scenarios.
Okay.
Think movies, TV shows, books, articles, even everyday conversations.
Wow.
They essentially exposed it to a vast library of human experience.
So it's learning the fundamentals of how we communicate, both visually and through language.
Exactly. But then they went a step further and used a technique called supervised learning.
Okay.
Imagine having a teacher guide you as you learn, correcting mistakes and offering suggestions.
So humans were involved in the training process.
Yes, providing feedback and guidance.
Okay.
They help the AI refine its understanding and learn to perform specific tasks, like identifying objects in a scene or summarizing a plot.
It's like they were shaping its intelligence.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And then they also used a technique called reinforcement learning, which is often used to train game-playing AI.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's all about rewards and penalties.
So the AI learns by trial and error, figuring out what works best to achieve its goal.
You got it.
Okay.
In this case, they use reinforcement learning to help the AI learn how to interact more naturally with humans.
So it's not just about giving the right answer, it's about delivering it in a way that feels natural.
Yeah, and conversational.
So they're not just teaching it to think, they're teaching it to communicate.
Exactly. They want it to understand things like tone, context, even humor.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a high bar for a machine to reach.
it is, but the results are really impressive.
Yeah.
And they even specifically trained it to handle implicit questions.
Oh, right. Like we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's like figuring out what you mean even if you don't say it directly.
Right. Like if I point at something and ask, what's that?
Yeah, and it has to figure out what that refers to based on the context.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they wanted to be able to handle these subtle cues that we use in everyday conversations.
It's amazing how much thought and effort went into training this AI.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
And it seems like they didn't just rely on existing data sets. They actually created their own data for training specific capabilities, right?
Yeah, that's right. They created data specifically for training the AI to understand implicit questions, and another interesting task called multimodal grounding.
Multimodal grounding.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's about teaching the AI to connect language with visual and audio information.
Okay.
So think about it. When we see a dog barking, we connect the word barking with the visual image of the dog and the sound of the bark.
Right.
It seems simple to us, but it's actually a really complex process.
Yeah.
So they're training the AI to make those same connections between what it sees, hears, and understands through language.
So it's perceiving the world more holistically like we do.
Yeah, like a human.
Wow.
And remember that the entire pipeline of this system with all these intricate details is laid out in the research paper.
So anyone who's interested can actually like go and read about how it all works.
That's the beauty of open research.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, we've talked about how they trained it to understand and process information.
Right.
But the real game changer is the long-term memory.
Sure.
So let's shift our focus to the multimodal long memory module and unpack how that works.
I'm all ears. This is the part that makes this AI really stand out.
Yeah, and it's important to understand that the AI's memory isn't exactly like our own. It doesn't store exact replicas of everything it experiences.
Okay.
It uses some clever techniques to make the process more efficient.
So how does it work?
So think about how you might remember a movie you watched a while ago.
Okay.
You probably don't remember every single detail, right?
Definitely not. I probably just remember the main plot points, the characters, and maybe a few standout scenes.
Exactly, and that's what the AI does.
Really?
It focuses on the most important information and then uses a technique called compression to create more compact representations.
So it's like summarizing each scene into its essential elements.
Right. It's not trying to remember everything. It's focusing on the key ideas and discarding the rest.
So that's really interesting.
And to organize all this information, it uses a technique called embedding. Imagine creating a map where similar concepts are clustered together.
Okay.
The AI does something similar, representing information. Words, images, sounds as points on this map.
So it can easily find connections between different pieces of information.
Exactly. Even if they weren't directly linked in the original experience.
That's amazing.
It's like having a filing system that automatically categorizes and connects related information.
Wow. Does it remember everything it encounters, or does it prioritize certain information?
That's a great question. So the AI actually distinguishes between short-term memory and long-term memory, just like our brains do.
Okay.
And it has a sophisticated mechanism for deciding what information to transfer from short-term to long-term memory.
So it's not just storing everything indiscriminately, it's actually making judgments about what's important to remember.
Exactly. It considers things like how often the information is accessed,
Okay.
how relevant it is to current tasks, and even potentially emotional cues.
Emotional cues. So the AI might prioritize memories that are associated with strong emotions, just like we do.
That's right. They're exploring how to incorporate this aspect of human memory into the AI's learning process,
That's fascinating.
making it even more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And they've tested this memory system extensively, finding that the AI can recall information from hours earlier with impressive accuracy.
So it really can answer questions about events that happened a long time ago.
Yes, and it can even use those memories to make inferences and draw conclusions, showing a deeper level of understanding.
Wow. So this multimodal long memory module is really the cornerstone of this AI's revolutionary capabilities.
It is.
That's incredible. But before we get too carried away with the possibilities, let's take a quick pause and then come back and discuss the real world implications of this technology. So we're back, and honestly, this IXC 2.5 OL system is really like pushing the boundaries of what I thought AI could do.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
But let's zoom out a bit. What does this kind of advanced AI actually mean for us in the real world?
Yeah, it's a huge question.
Yeah.
And a fascinating one, too. I think this kind of long-term AI has the potential to be incredibly transformative,
In what way?
touching almost every aspect of our lives, really.
Let's start with some of the potential benefits. What areas do you think could really see a positive impact from this?
Well, we've already touched on healthcare a bit. Imagine an AI that remembers your entire medical history and then analyzes it for subtle patterns and then alerts doctors to potential risks before they even become apparent to humans.
Wow. It's like having a superpower medical detective working behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It could lead to earlier diagnoses, more personalized treatment plans, maybe even prevent some serious health issues from developing in the first place.
That's incredible. What about education? We talked about AI tutors a little bit earlier. Could this take like personalized learning to a whole new level?
Absolutely. Imagine an AI tutor that remembers all your strengths and weaknesses, adapts to your learning style, and provides customized lessons tailored to your specific needs.
Wow.
It could completely revolutionize how we learn, making education more engaging and effective for everyone.
And it could also make education more accessible for people who might not have access to traditional learning environments.
Yeah, location resources, even disabilities, all those barriers could be diminished with an AI that can tailor the learning experience to individual circumstances.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
So beyond healthcare and education, what other areas do you think could be impacted by this kind of technology?
I mean, the possibilities are vast. Think about the workplace. We could have AI assistants that are more than just like digital helpers,
Right.
They could collaborate with us on complex projects, analyze data, and even help us generate creative ideas.
So it's like having a super smart partner who always has your back?
That's the idea. Augmenting our abilities and helping us reach our full potential.
I love that.
And even in our personal lives, AI could help us manage our homes, stay connected with loved ones in meaningful ways, and even like discover new interests and hobbies.
That's amazing. It sounds like AI could become like seamlessly integrated into our lives.
Like an extension of ourselves almost.
Yeah,
It's definitely a possibility.
it's a very exciting possibility.
But it's one that comes with, both exciting opportunities, but also some important questions to consider.
Right. Of course, we can't just focus on the positive side. What are some of the potential challenges or risks that we need to be aware of as this technology develops?
Well, one concern that comes up a lot is the impact on jobs as AI becomes more capable. It's inevitable that some tasks that are currently done by humans will become automated.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we adapt to these changes.
Exactly. We need to think about retraining programs, new job opportunities, and a social safety net that supports those whose jobs may be affected.
What about data privacy with AI constantly collecting and analyzing information? How do we protect our personal data and make sure it's not misused?
Yeah, privacy is paramount. We need strong regulations and safeguards in place to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly with respect for individual rights. It's not just about the technology, it's about the values and principles we embed in its development.
So it's a multifaceted challenge.
It is.
That requires careful consideration.
Definitely.
And a proactive approach to make sure that AI benefits humanity as a whole.
Absolutely. And as we've seen with IXC 2.5 OL, the pace of innovation is rapid. So it's really crucial that we stay engaged in the conversation, ask the tough questions, and work together to shape the future of AI.
This has been an incredible journey. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the potential of AI.
Good.
So thank you so much for guiding us through this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And for our listeners, we hope this has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to think about the role that AI might play in your own lives. As always, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those questions.
And we'll see you next time.
Until next time.